Hey guys, it's Shara from Woodshop Diaries, and this is the second video that I've made about this silly column in the middle of our living room. In the first video, I covered it with a faux brick paneling just to make it tolerable because the ultimate goal was to tear it out, which is what I'll be doing in this video. This video was sponsored by Cube. Okay, so let's talk about why there is a random column in the middle of our living room. We didn't build this house, we bought this house, so I'm assuming that they put it here to act as kind of a divider between the dining room, the kitchen, and the living room. It also used to house a couple of light switches, but we recently moved them so I can tear this out. I have hated this thing since we moved in. It blocks the view from like every direction. It makes a lot of this floor space practically useless, and it also makes the dining room feel super cramped. So now that the switches are finally moved, I'm ready to tear this out. I just hope the ceiling doesn't cave in. I'm just kidding, before anyone freaks out. This is not load bearing. The problem though with tearing this out is that the floor was laid around it. So I'm gonna have to patch the floor, but worse than that is I'm going to have to patch the ceiling, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just see what we're working with first. The hardest part about tearing out this column isn't even the column part. It's trying to figure out how I want to utilize this space once it's gone. If and how we want to change the layout, how this will affect other parts of the room. So really, deciding what's next is the hardest part. That and also trying to match the ceiling texture, because that's not really a skill that I've acquired just yet. Anyway, I have several ideas that I'm considering for this space that I'll share at the end of the video and get your thoughts. But for now, I'm just trying to take it one step at a time, patch all of this up, and just get the space back to normal. So after tearing out the walls, I patched and finished the drywall. I'm not going to give you a tutorial on that because, well, I have no idea what I'm doing and you don't want my advice on that. But once it was finished, I could turn my focus to the floor. Thankfully, the previous owners left behind some spare boxes of this flooring, so I removed all of the cut pieces and started getting a plan together for how much I needed to replace. For this, I pulled out my Cube 3-in-1 measuring device from Magpie Tech. This handy little tool measures distance, angle, and level all in one and is small enough to fit right in my pocket. The green laser makes it highly visible for indoor and outdoor use and for distances up to 164 feet. Clearly, I'm not needing quite that amount of distance measuring for this, but it does make quick work of measuring each row of floor so that I can quickly see how many planks that I'll need to replace here. The Cube offers measurements in various units, inches, feet, millimeter, centimeter, and meter, and is accurate to a 1/16 of an inch or 2 millimeters. I'm going to have to replace, or at least reconfigure, 5 rows of floor, so after measuring each one, I went out to collect the planks. Then I carefully replaced each row. This is that click-lock vinyl plank stuff, and it's not impossible to patch in sections, but it is a bit tedious. You have to be extra careful not to break a lip. After the floor was patched, the last part to get this room at least back to normal is to replace the baseboards. I've been slowly working my way around our house, replacing the old baseboard with 1x6 baseboard, and it's always a pain to measure every little piece, write it down, then take it out to the shop to cut it. Inevitably, I always write something down wrong and end up having to recut something. So one of my favorite features about the Cube is that it stores your measurements. So I set it up for distance, take my measurement, then I can go to my records and see all of them listed. So if I have several walls to measure, I just measure and record all of them, then I can take this to the shop with me and cut my baseboards all at once. No worrying about if I read my tape or wrote something down wrong. You can also set this on a 3 or 5 second timer delay, so it will count down and record the measurement 3 or 5 seconds from when I press the button, which is helpful when measuring outside walls like this. And while in this case, I'm just taking some simple distance measurements, the Cube also calculates area, volume, and configure your diagonal. So let's say I'm wanting to make this an accent wall, which is something I've considered for this space. I can quickly find the area that I need to cover by taking the width and the height measurements, and it automatically finds my area. You can do the same for the diagonal and the same for volume, just add the length. So anyway, back to the baseboards. Once they were cut, I brought them inside to nail them on. Tearing out this column seems like such a simple task, but it's kind of the whole if you give a mouse a cookie story. First, I had to patch the drywall, which was a several-day job, then the floor, then install the baseboards, but then those have to be puttied, caulked, and painted. It's kind of a never-ending process, and to be honest, kind of a boring one too. You just have to take it one step at a time, and before you know it, it's over. But I have to say, tearing out this wall was well worth the hassle because it opened up this room so much. It actually feels a lot bigger in here than I expected it to, which is kind of making my wheels spin with ideas. So here's what I've been thinking. We can obviously keep this a dining room, but one thing that we've considered is moving the dining table to this big open space where the column used to be. And if that's the case, then I plan to move my office into this area along the back wall. I'll build some built-ins to fill this space and add a desk somewhere in there as well. I've also considered adding some ceiling beams to, one, help hide the texture, but two, to also kind of help divide out these spaces a little bit, but without taking up any floor space like the column did. We've also considered getting rid of this island and moving the dining table into the kitchen, but if I do that, it's gonna require more patching of the floor because it was laid around the island, and I'm just not sure if I'm ready to open that can of worms just yet. For now, I'm still brainstorming what to do next, but I am so glad to have this column gone and honestly to have baseboards on some of the walls that have not had baseboards on them in well over a year. Whatever I plan to do next, I'll be keeping my cube handy because in addition to measuring distance and calculating area, it's also an angle finder, which is really handy to have in the shop, especially when calibrating and adjusting the miter saw and the table saw. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's also magnetic. The cube also reads level with a unique bullseye display showing X and Y coordinates simultaneously. So this little tool is perfect for keeping around the shop, in the house, and in the toolbox wherever you go. It's rechargeable with up to 12 hours of use in a single charge, and the screen adjusts brightness based on indoor or outdoor use to make it easy to read anywhere. You can grab your Cube 3-in-1 laser measure at the link in the video description. Now that this column is gone, I have a lot more projects in mind for this space, but I'm having a hard time deciding for sure. So let me know in the comments if you think I should add ceiling beams, make this my office, or reconfigure the kitchen. In the meantime, stay tuned because I have a few workshop projects that I'm planning to build soon. As always, thanks so much for watching, friends, and until next time, happy building!